Ginnungagap! The yawning void. The silence did not end, but it opened, where once there had been no edge, no direction, no distance. There came a widening, not outward, not inward, but between. A hollow without walls, a depth without bottom. The first place that could be called a place, though nothing yet stood within it. The Norse would name it Ginnungagap, the yawning void. Not emptiness, not chaos, but the space where opposites could learn to exist without touching. It was vast beyond measure, yet measure itself had not yet been born. No wind moved through it, for wind requires air. No darkness filled it, for darkness requires light to deny. It was not cold and it was not warm. It was the absence of condition, the waiting ground where condition would someday arise. And yet something had changed. For the first time there was distance. The silence, once whole and undivided, now held a rift within itself, a gulf where difference could grow. The void did not tear open violently. There was no scream, no collapse, no shattering roar. Creation does not begin with noise. It begins with space. Ginnungagap stretched endlessly, a chasm without horizon. There was no up, no down, no left or right, only separation. And within that separation lay possibility older than the gods who would later fear it. From one unreachable side of this vastness cold began to gather. Not ice as mortals know it, not frost that forms on stone or breath, that fogs in the winter air. This cold was primeval, untouched by season or cycle. It did not freeze, it endured. It thickened. It layered upon itself, slow and patient, as eternity favors those who wait. This realm would be called Niflheim, the mist world. It exhaled rime and vapor, rivers of cold so ancient they did not flow, but crept. Elivagar, the poisonous streams, carried ice and venom alike, seeping toward the center of all things. Each drop was heavy with time, each crystal sharp with inevitability. From the opposite, unreachable edge of Ginnungagap, heat awakened. Not flame yet, not fire with hunger or rage. This was warmth in its first remembering, a pressure, a glow, a restless stirring that refused stillness. Sparks formed not from fuel, but from desire to move. This realm would be called Muspelheim, the world of fire. It did not burn outward, it pulsed, it surged. It shimmered with motion, unrestrained by shape or rule. Where Niflheim endured, Muspelheim pressed. Where cold remembered, heat forgot. Between them lay the yawning void, Ginnungagap, untouched by either, yet destined to know both. The void did not choose sides. It did not lean toward flame or frost. But existence is never neutral for long. The moment there is distance, there is direction. The moment there is direction, there is motion. and so slowly, slower than thought, slower than time would later crawl, the breath of Niflheim reached outward, while the warmth of Muspelheim pushed inward. Cold advanced as mist and rime. Heat answered as glow and spark. Where they met, something happened. Not creation. Not yet. First came reaction. Ice softened. Vapor thickened. Frost wept. Sparks dimmed. The void, once untouched, began to feel. Not as pain, not as awareness, but as a response. Where cold and heat touched, the silence's fracture deepened. Drops formed. From melting rime came moisture. From warmth came movement. And in the dark heart of Ginnungagap, the first substance gathered. Neither solid nor flame, neither still nor wild. This was the first matter, not shaped by will, not guided by purpose, not born of intention. It formed because opposites met, and the universe could no longer remain unchanged. The drops fell, though there was no ground to strike, and pooled in the void. They thickened, they accumulated. They remembered both cold and heat within them, carrying endurance and restlessness in equal measure. And in that pooling, life stirred. Not life as mortals understand it. Not thought, not breath, not soul. But the raw potential to become something that could act instead of merely endure. The void had not been meant to hold life, but nothing in existence is meant. It simply happens. From the meeting of frost and fire within the vast hollow of Ginnungagap, the first being began to form, not crafted, not summoned, not named. It coalesced. A shape took hold within the pooling matter, massive, slow, heavy with the weight of both realms. It did not wake suddenly. It did not rise. It gathered itself over uncounted ages, drawing substance from the endless collision of cold and warmth. This being would one day be called Ymir. But names come later. Before the name, there was only growth. The void watched without watching. The silence endured beneath it all, unchanged, unmoved, unconcerned. It did not celebrate the stirring of life, nor did it resist it. It allowed it, as it allows all things, because allowing requires nothing. As the first being thickened within Ginnungagap, the balance between the realms shifted. Cold fed it. Heat shaped it. And the void, once empty of form, now held the weight of becoming. This was the first consequence of separation. This was the first proof that the silence, once fractured, could never return to what it had been. The gods had not yet been born. The worlds had not yet been named. But the foundation of all endings had already been laid. For where opposites meet, struggle is inevitable. And where struggle is born, time will follow. Ginnungagap yawned wider still, no longer merely a void, but a womb. And within it, the age of gods and giants, prepared to awaken. As the first being thickened within Ginnungagap, the balance between the realms shifted. Cold fed it. Heat shaped it. And the void, once empty of form, now held the weight of becoming. This was the first consequence of separation. This was the first proof that the silence, once fractured, could never return to what it had been. The gods had not yet been born. The worlds had not yet been named. But the foundation of all endings had already been laid. For where opposites meet, struggle is inevitable. And where struggle is born, time will follow. Ginnungagap yawned wider still, no longer merely a void, but a womb. And within it, the age of gods and giants prepared to awaken.